Hello. I've come back to talk about the dreaded Brexit. Sadly, today there's 4,500 jobs that are going to be lost at Jaguar Land Rover. I think the present government has confused so many businesses, and they blame Brexit, but to be honest, over the last 10 years, they've confused so many businesses about electric cars, how they're going to treat diesel. They've worried the customer. They're basically fear factoring everyone. It's the fear factor. Now, this is the same government that have put out tenders to multi-million pound taxpayers' money to build new hospitals. Carillion, they've given them an absolute fortune. Hospital in Liverpool lies unused. There's a fire station in Taunton that was supposed to be a base for all the 999 calls. It's costing £5,000 a week, and it's lying empty. Similar with the hospital in Liverpool, the lights are all on. The lights are all on. They can't switch them off. And there's people that can't afford basic heating and lighting in this country. It's absolutely disgusting. And I think that even though, whether you wanted to remain in the EU or leave the EU, there's this growing consensus that there's something bigger going on because with the energy shifts, because this can't continue in the way it is. It's just ridiculous. Whether you're rich or you're poor, it's just ridiculous. At some point, there's going to become an amazing, enlightening awakening that things cannot continue the way they are. How can these people take taxpayers' money and just waste it in the way they do? When you and I, every day in the UK and probably all over the world, are driving over bloody potholes. It's just diabolical. And it may seem petty, but the thing is, it's a lack of looking after the people and listening to the people. And I think there's a lot of this going on, not only in the UK, but in France, in Spain, in America, where they're not listening to the people. We've got these power-hungry, crazed, I don't know what they are. They're like robots. I don't know what they are. I mean, Margaret Thatcher bragged she could survive on 2 hours sleep. Yes, but her mind didn't function properly. And I'm pretty much guessing that this is the scenario we're in with Trump and Theresa May. It's just absolutely ridiculous. We've also had the farce, and I can call it a complete farce, of getting, I don't know how many it was, I think it was 82 lorries to drive in a disused airfield in Kent. Funny how they're pulling out all the stops now, isn't it, to get the lorries off the road so that it stops the minions complaining. And it's kind of ironic that Theresa May seems to now be listening to the opposition and trying to get a vote through. That will be interesting to see how that happens. I personally have, in the past, trudged the streets of Exeter to get the Tories out. And I got Blair in. I worked to get Blair in. My MP at the time was Ben Bradshaw. And he's a very reasonable man. Very reasonable. I liked working for him, and I think he is the way forward for the Labour Party. No disrespect to Corbyn, who is actually pushing and pushing and pushing to get what he wants, but I'm not sure he's doing it in the right way. And there comes a point where you have to sit back and think that nothing's happening. It's costing a fortune. Nothing's happening. Our roads are crumbling. Our hospitals are crumbling. Well, in the last 2.5 years, or probably the last 10 years, really, these people have been sat having champagne breakfast and croissants in the EU, in Brussels, and basically not giving a shit about anybody else. They don't know what's happening in people's lives. And that's not only limited to the UK. France has to take the responsibility as well. And Trump, he's just another powerful man that's got a lot of money, that wants his way all the time. That's not how the world works. We are all one. We all need to work together. We all need to come up with a solution. And to my mind, the best solution would be to have proportional representation. That is the only way this is ever going to work. And I think there's going to be a huge, huge shift and change in the politics, not only of the UK, but of the world in general. Because you cannot run a society in any form when you've got dictatorships that are not listening. They just do not listen. And we're lacking homes in the UK. We've got a lack of homes in the UK. But the ones that are there aren't looked after. The rich have got 2 homes, or 3 homes, or 4 homes, and yet some of them aren't used at all. It's just ridiculous. And when we get to social housing, well, you know, the parking situation, it's no wonder that Jaguar Land Rover are losing jobs, because the social housing needs to back them up with parking spaces. And everyone that buys a car needs the ability to buy the car in the first place, and then needs the ability to park the bloody thing. It's just diabolical that they aren't thinking this through. It's just, and we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just not being provided for. The basic needs of people are not being provided for. I don't know where it's going to end, to be honest. It's just like, thankfully I live in the 4th dimension, and I've just popped back to the 3rd dimension to do this video, because I don't like being in the 3rd dimension anymore. It's just a crazy place where anything goes as long as it's for the rich. And there are many, many people on this planet that are itching to get to work and itching to actually be part of this, be part and have their say, but they're not allowed to have their say. There's an incident this week where a Tory MP was heckled outside of Parliament. Now, she was laughing, she took it all in her stride, and she loved the attention, because she knows that any attention is good, any media attention is good. And she was just laughing away. But the thing is, I think we've got to be able to have our say. And she knew that. She knew that we need to have our say. And what Theresa May is doing is not letting us have our say. She's so blinkered and so Thatcherite that she's just got this narrow view of the world, and that's it. We've got to like it or lump it. Well, I think, Theresa, no, we're not going to like it or lump it. Jeremy Corbyn's not going to like it or lump it. I know Ben Bradshaw won't like it or lump it. Power to you, Ben. He's a good boy. That wasn't patronising, by the way, Ben. You are a good man. But yeah, it's just crazy the way it's going. I've never seen anything like it. And I lived through the Thatcher years, so it's quite amazing to relive it with extra oomph, if you know what I mean. Now, I'm no astrologer, but I think the planets are aligning to be like they were in the 60s. So there's going to be a lot of upheaval yet. A lot of upheaval. I don't know, like I say, what's going to happen, but the people need to have their voice, and the ballot box isn't working. The referendum clearly didn't work, and in one of my previous videos I explained why it didn't work. We were asked the wrong question. It was very strange that the majority of people came out to vote in that referendum. Well, they didn't in a general election, and I think that was partly because they didn't understand the referendum question, or it was too simplified, probably for a reason, because Cameron and Osborne did a runner after that, didn't they? They did a runner after that. But, yeah, the question wasn't right. And I think now we're left with everybody getting so bored with Brexit. We're like, get on with it. 8 means 8. Get on with it. Just do it. You can't have another referendum. You can't have a people's vote. If you do ever have a people's vote, then you need to ask a different question. And what will that be? It's just crazy. It's just, politics is just not working. The whole system is not working. And meanwhile, you've got people committing suicide because they're dragged into these god-awful places and being told they're lying over their illnesses when, they're clearly dying. I just don't understand this system at all. It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. And those people that can afford a car and that can drive on the roads, hitting potholes every 2 minutes. It's just bizarre in this country. Absolutely bizarre. Did I say bizarre enough yet? I'm just trying to see the funny side of it, but it's not really funny at all. I mean, we're heading towards a disaster, really. I mean, if we continue with this Brexit denial vote, and as they're saying, kicking the can down the road, I'm looking at now, personally, end the divide and rule. Just get us out. That's what the majority of the vote was. Get us out of the EU, focus on the UK, and start listening to your people and your country, because that is what matters. That is what matters. People work hard to feed their families. People struggle. And people are struggling with illness every day. Illnesses they're not going to recover from. Every day. They don't want to be dragged in and questioned about it. Hopefully, Theresa May, you will be dragged in and questioned about what you're doing, because I don't know what your ears are for, because you're clearly not listening. And I hope I live long enough to see the day when my man, Bradshaw, is the Member of Parliament for Exeter, is Prime Minister. Good luck to you, Ben. Right behind you here. Right, let's get this show on the road, shall we? Have the vote, Teresa. It's not going to get through, is it? I don't think it will. And it's a shame that you've taken this long to actually talk to Labour MPs about workers' rights. Now, you know you're on a sticky wicket. Your back's against the wall. This is what comes of not listening. And even before Brexit, there's 4,500 jobs going in the car industry. Hospital in Liverpool you've built, costing a fortune, not used. The other one's falling apart. So the staff work so hard. And they're so frustrated that everything's ground to a halt. Patients are suffering. Staff are suffering. They're working long hours. They're staying away from their families and their future to look after somebody that's throwing up, shitting themselves, wetting themselves. Looking after somebody else's family and staying away from their own in a hospital that's falling down. Then there's this fire station in Taunton, isn't there? By the way, the lights are on in the new hospital because they can't switch them off. Because Carillion went bust. I can see this farce coming up with the shipping as well. How many millions is that costing? This company hasn't even got any boats yet. We'll see how interesting that is. But I think this is just scaremongering, isn't it? Just get us out. Just have no deal. Get us out. The farmers will love it. The fishermen will love it. Let's end the scaremongering. Let's be the country that actually says, yes, we can be independent, stand on our own, and let's just sort it out. And you're giving a fortune to Northern Ireland already. Absolute fortune to Northern Ireland. At the expense of your own people. Get your hospitals and roads up and running, Teresa. Or should I say, Ben Bradshaw or Jeremy Corbyn? Whoever's in power. I know they will, but Teresa won't. Teresa just not got a clue. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to offload and talk to you all. I shall speak to you soon. Hopefully, we'll have some view on what's going on next in this saga of politics. I think the universe may take over before then, and we shall all be happier beings. Till next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye-bye.